2018 was a big year for video games.
Yeah, but it's almost over. It's garbage. Get out of our way. 2019 is just around the corner.
What are we looking forward to next year?
Hot take.
There are a ton of games that are going to be coming out in 2019. And unfortunately, there's a lot that we really don't want to talk about.
Yeah, so we're going to pay homage to a few of those. Not all of them, but here we go.
Yep. And that was it.
Okay, that was pretty good.
Fine, yeah.
That's all the games?
All right.
That's all the games ever?
I think that's pretty much all the games you could possibly want to talk about. But there is another list of games that we're actually very interested in talking about. However, we don't know if they're going to be good.
So before we get to our top 5, we have our morbid curiosity lists. Morbid.
Okay, so that was weird. Let's get into the list.
Yes. Do you want to go first?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Crackdown 3.
What? It's not out yet.
No, it's not.
Why?
But folks, I look, Crackdown 3 might be a great game, but I am definitely not looking forward to this game as a game I'm expecting to enjoy.
I'm looking forward to the press around it.
Yeah, I'm more or less looking forward to trying out how crazy this is going to be and how wrong it might be.
Right.
It might be a good game, but my belief is it's not going to be one.
Shane, they're weighing too much into the Terry Crews these days.
Oh, yeah.
It's less a Crackdown game and more like no, he's still in the game and you can jump around and shoot things as Terry Crews.
So, yeah, that's a game I'm morbidly curious to see.
Okay, you want one of mine?
Yes.
Okay, a game I'm super morbidly curious about is In the Valley of Gods. In the Valley of Gods was shown off at the Game Awards in 2017. It's by Campo Santo.
Right.
Campo Santo are the people that did Firewatch. Some people might have said it's a walking simulator. Yes, maybe it is. I felt like there was some heart there, and that team is comprised of people that had worked with Telltale. They know storytelling, right? So this game, for this game, Campo Santo was working on it for a while. Valve came along, and they're like, hey, we're going to buy you up. And they're like, oh, can we keep working on this thing? And Valve said, not only can you continue working on In the Valley of Gods, but you can also use our resources. So use our minds, the creative people here at Valve, make the thing you want to make. It sounds super duper cool, man.
I liked Firewatch.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what their next game is.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, is it going to be good? Is it going to be bad?
So what we've seen so far is it was just like an Egyptian sort of setting. You're in like a valley and you're going into temples and finding treasure and stuff. In this, unlike in Firewatch, where you don't really interact with anyone else, you have like a counterpart that's AI that's kind of like leading you around and helping you find stuff. Maybe there's some twists and turns along the way. These guys are very story driven, so I'm excited to see what happens from that, man.
Yeah, usually when a game goes from, it's the same developers, but moving from one place to another, things might happen. So who knows? But I'm more interested in that than Morbid, but okay, Morbid it is. All right, my next game, Rage 2. I played the first Rage. There was plenty of things wrong with it. There was a lot of things that were good with it. But Rage 2 isn't being made by the same people that made the original one, so I really don't know what to expect here. It might be a fantastic game with lots to do, or it might be a game that tries to do too much and fail completely.
Yeah, it seems like it's going for a very stylized look this time.
Oh, you can say Mad Max. You can say it. That's what it is. It's what it is. Everybody knows.
It's not just Mad Max. So it's Mad Max, and it's the neon purples and the crazy like, oh, hey, our hair, we shave. Everyone shaves the side of their heads in this universe. Everyone. It's been like that for a couple of years with a lot of games.
Yeah, I mean, what makes Rage, the first one, a good game in my opinion, was a really good gun combat.
Yes.
id Software knows how to make good gunplay games, and having another developer take a hold of this, I don't know if they're going to be able to make all that stuff work together. Although there were vehicles in the first Rage game, honestly, you didn't use them all that much. Like, there was clear broken sequences where you would fight on foot, and then you would get in vehicles.
There's a clear separation between those types of gameplay,
So I don't know what I don't know what to expect here. I'm hoping for the best, but again, I believe it might be worse, and who knows? Here's hoping. Here's hoping.
Okay. Another one of my morbid curiosity games. It's a sequel to a game that I played. I think I played it on PC, but it was a Microsoft Xbox One exclusive. It's Ori and the Blind Forest was the original game. Ori and the Will of the Wisps is its sequel. It's going to be an exclusive to the Xbox One, but it's going to be on PC as well. So many things to say about this game. Okay. Beautiful.
Yes.
Its art is gorgeous. The first game, like the difficulty is perfect in that first game, so I hope they carry that forward, because it's one of those games, kind of like Super Meat Boy, in that when you make a mistake and die, it's your fault. It's not because the controls are weird or anything like that. It's a Metroidvania. Maybe you think we've been seeing too many of those, but in my mind, I can't get enough of them. And yeah, I just like that, man.
I like the first one.
Yeah.
It's just when I see the second one, I'm just like, looks kind of the same to me, right?
And that's fine. The art looks a little bit better. You're getting new moves and collecting things, and I'm addicted to that style of gameplay myself.
Sure,
you know,
sure.
I love my 2D Metroid.
Absolutely. Now, my next game, you might be surprised if you heard me say Rage 2, Far Cry New Dawn. It kind of looks like Rage 2. Same neon colors that Adam was
Everyone
just talking about.
shaves their head, but the top hair is still there.
It's got a Mad Max vibe. Now, this seems to be basically the first true sequel to a Far Cry game. I know we've had ones that were kind of sequels
What
before.
about Primal? It's a sequel to Far Cry 4.
It's a
I guess a prequel.
Not really. Look. What we're getting here seems to be an actual, honest-to-goodness sequel to the last Far Cry game. So it's a continuation of that story, which takes place, I don't know how many years later. It's post-apocalyptic. It looks crazy and weird and strange. I really don't know if this game is going to really work together. But I think that the team behind Ubisoft is skilled enough to make it work. The only reason I'm curious about this is because if it comes out too close to Rage 2, I think the games are going to bump heads and people are going to consumers are going to get confused about the games and not know which is which. It has happened before, right?
Yeah.
So this might happen. It might be great. I expect this one of the every other game I'm talking about, I'm expecting this one to be the best of them. But I'm hoping that it does things better and it's not just a sidestep to what they already did.
In my mind, it's almost like we've been getting a lot of Far Cry over the last 6 or 7 years or whatever.
Yeah.
If this is will this make the franchise stale? In my mind, I'm like, is this the one?
Yeah.
You know, because there was an Assassin's Creed game that was like, okay, we've had enough.
Yes.
Will this be okay, we've had enough of Far Cry?
If all it is the same map and it's just kind of been dirtied up a little bit with broken buildings and everything everywhere. If they do something like that and it angers the player base, that might be a lazy push instead of actually making a whole new Far Cry game. So there's a lot that can go wrong, right? A lot of people there was people that loved Primal and a lot of people that didn't like Primal because it still used the same overworld map of the previous Far Cry game to that. So anything can happen here, but I'm expecting better, but we'll see.
Shane, we've been talking a lot about the Switch these days.
Yes.
And recently, we've talked about how the Switch needs exclusive games.
Sure.
My next Morbid Curiosity game is exclusive to the Switch and coming, I believe, to PC as well. It's My Friend Pedro.
Yes.
Do you remember My Friend Pedro?
This game looked so good.
We saw a trailer for this around E3, right? I don't think it was at E3. It was at the Devolver Digital weird kind of showcase.
Yeah.
Dude, this looks so cool. It's about stylistic action, right? You got your slow-mo moves, bullet time, if you will, and you're shooting things. You're shooting signs that ping, it goes off a sign and hits a mallet that's on the wall and then hits a dude.
But style does not make a good game. There's every chance that the controls on that game might not be that great.
Are you already bashing the game?
Well, no. Look. What I saw there looked really cool, and I'm excited to just try it out. But when it comes to a game that is hyper on style or hyper on a joke or something like that, sometimes the entire philosophy of the game is stuck in that one realm, and we simply have not seen enough of the game to kind of give us more of a positive feeling.
We certainly do have to see more. To me, it feels like it's an action game, maybe mixed a little bit with a puzzle game.
Sure.
And it might push you to replay levels. Like, oh shoot, I didn't know that dude was there and that he had a frying pan in his hand that I could ricochet a bullet off of, so I play it again.
I was getting vibes of Hotline Miami the entire time when I was seeing it. It's like that same idea. I go back through a level several times to play it in different ways.
Hotline Miami felt very much like a puzzle game, despite it being a shooty action game.
Yeah. Now, last game on the list of Morbid Curiosity.
On your list?
On my list. Control. Now, Control is being developed by the same folks that made Quantum Break, which is Remedy. The problem with Quantum Break was it tried to do a lot of things. It was a live-action television show with a whole bunch of episodes that you had to sit there and watch in between sequences of the game, and they were half-hour episodes, right? These were serious things. Real professional actors were in them. They put a lot of time and effort into the narrative and the story. However, I felt that many of the mechanics didn't quite work, and the game struggled to run on many computers. My own computer, I have a pretty decent one, it struggled on that. On the original Xbox, it struggled to run. So for me, even on the Xbox One X, the game is still basically what it looks like on the original Xbox, even with the patch.
Yeah.
So this is my worry with this game. Looks hyper stylized. I'm just hoping that they focus more on making the gameplay stand out, because I don't think Quantum Break did enough in terms of gameplay to attract people, and I really, really like Remedy. They're one of the coolest developers out there, and I don't want another one of their games to kind of fly under the radar, because the last 2 games they released, I think a lot of people didn't play. Alan Wake was exclusive to the 360.
I was trying to think of it this whole time. I was like, they did that game that was like a Stephen King novel.
Right?
Yeah, Alan Wake.
So that was on PC and it was exclusive to 360. It never came out on Windows.
Right.
Sorry, it never came out on PlayStation 3.
Yeah.
So you had a lot of people that missed out on that. And I feel that they do great work. It's just sometimes they stick to one kind of concept for the game design that doesn't attract people enough.
Yeah, well, let's hope that the time manipulation mechanics that they kind of learned within Quantum Break are being made better.
If they even use time mechanics, right? We
don't
know.
It looks like it. It looks like it.
Does.
The thing that I like
that's
about
the thing, we don't know what the gameplay is going to be like.
From what we've seen from the trailers, the teasers, we don't know the real gameplay per se, because it could have just been like CG rendered, whatever. But it looks like an FC Escher, weirdness with the staircases and flipping and what's up and what's down. Yeah, and it looks like there might be some sort of bullet time mechanics there. They do have they dove into the pool with that other game. Didn't do quite as well. Maybe this is the time that they can, they built up the muscle. Now they can prove themselves with this game.
Yeah, I'm really hoping this works out for them, because honestly, folks, they make really complex, interesting games, and I just don't want to see that go away.
It feels like we should be getting to a beefy list right now.
Yeah, so I think it's about time for us to talk about the top 5 games that we have for 2019.
Top 5.
So this just isn't any regular top 5, because both Adam and I have created our own 5 lists of games that we're looking forward to next year.
That's right, Shane.
Yeah, and this is basically how it's going to work. We've come up with completely different games. Each one of us are more interested in the list that we've created, but we both came up with one name of a game that we were really excited to talk about. However, we couldn't lock down if it's actually coming out next year.
That's right. That's Flappy Birds 2.
No, it's
Flappier.
not. Cyberpunk 2077. That's the game.
I forgot.
Birds.
I forgot.
Now look, folks, we would love for that game to come out in 2019, but we're just not certain. We're excited for it, but it's not going to be a part of this list. Keep that in mind.
Sure.
Now.
You ready?
Yes.
Here we go.
Number 5.
Okay, Adam, you go first.
You are such a gentleman. Okay, my number 5 is Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice. This is a game that I've been looking forward to since I saw some of the early footage of it. It is a Souls game that is not a Souls game. This is from the developer of Bloodborne, Demon Souls, Dark Souls. They make some really great RPG action games. So Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice is an action game, but I guess it's peeling back those layers of RPG. Those mechanics aren't really going to be there as solidly as in those Souls games. Here, it's a little bit more about. It seems a little bit more about the story.
Yeah.
You play a one-armed character. I don't think you can create your own character in this one. And you're going through. It's like feudal Japan. You're collecting weapons and fighting. What kind of leans the most on the Souls or Bloodborne-ish style of this game is the enemies. Yes. They have that sort of like looming, huge, gross, grotesque look to them. It looks like it's a heck of a lot of fun. Fun fact, they originally started working on this game assuming they were making a Tenchu game. From Software had bought up that license, right? So to people who love Tenchu, you probably watched the original trailers for this game and said, hey, those grappling hook mechanics look familiar. Dude, there's so much going on here. I am super duper excited.
I'm crazy excited for this myself. Look, I'm not a big Souls player. I don't think I've ever been very good at the games, and I probably haven't given them enough time, but this one really stands out to me. It looks like there are different mechanics at play, and because there's a little bit less of mechanics for RPGs that are on the focus there, and more on the actual style of the gameplay, that it seems to be more action-oriented, that makes me excited for this. So I'm very much looking forward to this.
I almost forgot. Death in this is treated treated much more differently, so the developers have said. And we've seen footage of the main character dying and getting back up.
Yeah.
And anyone who's played a Souls game knows that that's
Yeah.
a big deal.
Yeah, that doesn't really happen.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so
what's your number 5?
My number 5 is Psychonauts 2. Now, Psychonauts 2 is a game I've been looking forward to for I don't even know how long now.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, the original came out on the Xbox, right?
Yes, yeah. I've been a longtime fan of Double Fine Entertainment. I'm an even longer longtime fan of Tim Schafer. Psychonauts was a fantastic game when it originally came out. Wonderful story, wonderful characters, some really smart and interesting use of gameplay mechanics. Honestly, it is still a fantastic game to go back and play. And what they're doing with Psychonauts 2 seems to be adding a lot more of what they did in the past, but expanding the story, bringing back some of those characters we love, and just making the gameplay a little bit more modern. What I have seen of it makes it almost look like a newer style Mario platformer, kind of like Mario Galaxy and stuff like that. And that's great, right? That's kind of what Psychonauts sort of felt like in the first place. So I'm very excited for this. And honestly, it is possibly going to be, I don't know, one of the most hyped, independently produced games with like a backing from gamers ever, because this was not a Kickstarted game, but they used a different platform to do that. So yeah, I'm excited for this.
It really does feel like the revitalization of 3D platformers nowadays, right? Yeah, I agree with you completely, especially your talk about the Mario Galaxy thing. It felt like Galaxy stole a couple notes from the original Psychonauts.
A little bit.
So maybe Psychonauts 2 is going to come back and say like, hey, you're done making those games, Nintendo, or we're going to make another one, and it's going to be even cooler.
Yeah. So that's why I'm really excited for this one.
Number 4.
Jane.
Yes.
Want to know my number 4 game?
What's your number 4 game?
My number 4 game is... I'm looking at my list. You ready?
Yes.
My number 4 game is Bloodstained.
Okay.
Do you know
That's a smart
Bloodstained?
pick. Yes,
Bloodstained
yes.
Ritual of the Night. This is one of the original producers of a very special Castlevania game coming back into Castlevania, but not in name. Okay, so that was Koji Igarashi. He was involved with Castlevania. Like, his girlfriend was working on Rondo of Blood way back in the day, and then he wound up working for Konami, and then he was a producer and creator of Symphony of the Night. So a lot of people really love Symphony of the Night. He's connected with that game, and then he went on to do a lot of work in the other games that had that same sort of feel. So the DS style games, the advanced games that all had that Symphony of the Night feel to them. This is a spiritual successor to Castlevania Symphony of the Night, and it looks freaking marvelous.
Yes, just because Konami's name is not on it, which is probably a good thing at this point,
yes,
and just because it's not a Castlevania game doesn't mean you shouldn't expect great things from this game.
Right.
And honestly, I think this one's going to be a standout title.
I would have put this higher on my list, but from looking at, like, of course I'm very excited for it, but I feel like this is one of the games that is straying less from the formula we expect than the other games on my list, right? So this game, it looks like Symphony of the Night. Even like the run cycle of the main character has that like smoothness that the main character from Symphony had. It's difficult bosses. You're collecting different weapons and stuff. The story's different. Your character's cursed with this disease that makes crystal shards like embed into her skin and stuff. But if you didn't have Bloodstained as the main title of this game and someone said, what do you think this is? Anyone who's played video games would basically say it looks like a Castlevania game.
All right, now, my number 4 is Doom Eternal. Now, I was a huge fan of the Doom they had just released previously. It's probably one of the best first-person shooters they've ever made. They've taken Doom back to where it belongs and made it a really good shooter before adding a bunch of other crazy crap on top of it. So this really is something I'm looking forward to. They've taken everything they made already, they're adding more to it, they're refining it, they're fixing it, they're making bigger stages, they're adding more combo-type elements to it and stuff like that. I'm so excited for this because of the promises of what it's going to do. Now, originally, there was supposed to be a Doom game being created where it would take place on Earth, and it was going to be called Doom Hell on Earth. That game didn't come out, but what we're seeing from Doom Eternal seems to be a lot of those ideas they had with that original design, and they're bringing it forward here, because from what I can tell, this looks like it's on Earth.
You're missing 2 very important words, and I know that you're going to love these. Grappling hook.
Yes, completely forgot about that.
That's all you need, man. There's a grappling hook in this game. Grappling hook in Sekiro, grappling hook in Doom. Give us all the grappling hooks, man.
See, this is what's crazy about this. Typically, when it comes to Doom games, when we get advancements and changes, I'm not really excited for them. Like a flashlight. That didn't really do me much in Doom 3. But when it came to the grappling hook, they were showing a way to actually make your movement go faster. Combos. To give you a way to reach enemies that were out of reach. Yeah. That way you can melee them in a faster way. So I'm excited just for those elements and to add on to it.
One more thing about Doom. They did the simplest thing with the remake, and this is going to be integrated into Eternal as well, in that you can choose whether you want health or ammo from the enemies you defeat by how you kill them.
Yeah.
It was so simple, but it's like, pardon the pun, but it's like a game changer to an extent as well.
Yeah. I was always going for ammo. Didn't need health because I'm good at playing Doom.
I needed health.
Number 3.
Shane, what number are we on? I have problems counting.
Number 3.
Number 3. My number 3 game is a game that's coming to the Switch. You gonna switch it up? It's Fire Emblem Three Houses. Fire Emblem Three Houses. You know I'm a fan of Fire Emblem games. It's addictive. They have the weapon triangle where one type of weapon, like an axe, is more effective against another type of weapon, and it is very addictive. What we're seeing with the Switch is... I got another pun, Shane. They're switching up their sort of mainline games, okay? Mario Odyssey felt very different from many of the other Mario 3D platformer Mario games that had come out recently. Breath of the Wild, of course, they're switching things up. With this Fire Emblem game, it does seem like, once again, they're tweaking the formula in some pretty extensive ways. So whereas you do have your classic Fire Emblem turn-based strategy kind of overworld map, you're also zooming in on the battle. It looks like you have like tactical formations. Like I saw... There's only been a little bit of footage released. Like you can get into a triangle with your army. By the way, when you go to fight the other characters on the map, it shows a battlefield with several different armies and stuff. So it's taking the kind of simplicity of the Fire Emblem battle system, and it looks like there's going to be a couple other little tweaks. And yeah, man. So the scale's bigger. Things are different. There's...
In my opinion, honestly, because we're not getting...
You better say something good.
Oh, because we're not getting Advance Wars, right? This seems to be Advance Wars with a story, you know? I mean, I mean, not that Advance Wars didn't have a story. It did, but come on, folks. Like, it wasn't that impressive. What we're getting here seems to be the strategy game play that Nintendo's really good at, and they keep making it better and just adding on to it. And I think we're saying adding on to it a lot more with a lot of these games we're mentioning, but many of these games are franchises we've already seen or have been inspired by other franchises, and just adding new features and making those experiences a bit more richer is what the name of the game is here, and I think that's what these folks are doing.
Yeah, for sure. It's nice to see this shaken up. We've also seen some footage of like third-person moments in the game where you're running around a town, and of course, anyone who's played Fire Emblem games knows that you talk to people, you mingle, you get married, you make children. Like there's so much going on there, and adding on to the game in some pretty major ways.
Yeah. Now, my number 3 is Shenmue 3, actually.
We both did 3 games?
I didn't realize that. Okay.
We both did 3 games.
Shenmue 3, look, folks, what can I say? I've been a Shenmue fan ever since I was a kid playing it on the Dreamcast. Shenmue 3 looks to be the logical entry into the series that we've wanted for years. I don't know what it's going to be like. I don't know if it's going to live up to the promises that Shenmue 1 and 2 established. I don't know if it's going to be a great game, but what I can tell you is that I'm very much looking forward to this because I just want to see where the story goes with Ryo and how all that stuff plays together. And it's been such a long time coming. Even if I were, and I know this game is going to be on everyone's list, but for me, it's something I'm personally just looking very forward to.
Yeah, you have a huge attachment with the series. Do we know whether or not this is going to be kind of sealing up? Is this the conclusion of the Shenmue story?
There's supposed to be another chapter, but what we're getting here is supposed to be the one that kind of encapsulates everything that has happened with the action part of the story. Okay. So maybe it might continue on after this if it's very successful, but I know we're going to see some completions of some of the storylines, at least in this game.
Very cool.
Number 2.
Shane, you know what I like?
What?
The graphic for that 2 that just flashed on the screen. That was very impressive.
Took me a while to make those.
Yeah. Okay. Number 2. My number 2 game is a game with the number 2 in it. Okay. Again, we're following a theme that will not be followed from here on out.
No, it really won't.
So my number 2 game is the Resident Evil 2 remake.
Yeah.
From Capcom. Okay. A lot of great stuff going on here. Capcom has been re-releasing games, and some of those re-releases and remakes have been like a little touch here or there to something a little bit grander. We've seen re-releases from Capcom for so long, it's not surprising, right? What this remake is doing is completely like remaking the game from the ground up.
Yeah.
Everything is remade. The way that you play the game, the way that you control the game, the layout of this title. I played the original Resident Evil 2 way back when on the PlayStation 2. I think my brother had to buy it because I think it may have had like a rating thing on it. I am a diehard fan of the second game. I didn't follow along with the series as much as I did in like the early days of Resident Evil, but that second game specifically, I remember playing through with Leon and with Claire and having like those two stories on two separate discs and stuff. I'm so excited to see what they do here. Now we have an over-the-shoulder camera like Resident Evil 4 had brought to the table.
Yep.
Like what else can I say about this? It's like
it looks darker though, doesn't it?
Oh yeah.
This looks like actually okay. The second one wasn't cheesy too much, but there was cheesy.
It's cheesy now that you go back.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
But in a bubble, no.
Yeah, this one seems authentically scary and freaky and far more gory than it's ever been. So
I think it's like how we imagine some of those scenes back in the 90s.
Yes,
today,
very much so,
right? Like some of the stuff we've seen so far is like people being disemboweled and stuff like that.
And there's mechanics at play here that are being done now because we have newer engines and newer technology that we couldn't do back then.
That's right.
So for instance, they were showing some lighting effects that were going on where you're basically looking down like a dark hallway and characters were coming in and out of focus.
Right.
That kind of stuff you couldn't do back in the old days with the way they used to design these
Oh,
games.
well, yeah, the backgrounds were CG, just static backgrounds, right?
Yeah.
This game is using the RE engine, which is the engine that was used in Resident Evil 7.
Yeah.
So expect the same fidelity there. Like, the graphics so far look absolutely stunning. Looks creepy as all heck. The fact that they've said, like, the Raccoon Police Department, the whole game is not going to be exactly how you remember it. Even some of the puzzles are going to be very different. It feels like a very ambitious remake, and that's why it's my number 2.
All right. Well, my number 2 is a game that is going to be coming out exclusively for the PlayStation 4, Ghost of Tsushima. Now, this game looks amazing, folks. Open world game, takes place in feudal Japan. It has some amazing animation work being done, some really cool types of gameplay that are being presented as well. Honestly, this is probably the game I'm looking forward to the most on the PlayStation 4 because of just what the design is. I don't know if we're going to be seeing this in 2019, but because we have rumors coming out that the PlayStation 5 is going to be announced in 2019, then arrive in 2020, I very much doubt this game's going to come out in 2020 because that'd be a little crazy if they did that. This game looks like it's going to be amazing. It looks like it's going to be fun. Looks like it's got a story that you're definitely going to want to pay attention to. So this is one that is really high up on my list.
Some people may confuse this with Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, but there's a realism to this game that is incredible. It really, like, it's not a fantasy world. It really does seem like you're in Japan way back in the day. And the combat in Sekiro Shadows Die Twice is very Souls. It is that thing.
It looks to be a little bit more gameplay fun focused, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
There's something to the combat in this game that looks so brutal.
Yes.
Like you can almost like see the beads of sweat coming off their foreheads with every swipe, and everything is so deliberate. The fighting alone is something that I'm highly anticipating, but the rest of the game looks gorgeous.
Yeah, and from what we know about the actual main character that you're going to be playing as in this game, apparently the story is going to start very, very dark, and then it's going to expand as you go along, so it gives you some reason to keep pushing forward. So that's why I'm excited to play this. Once again, I think this is going to be one of the top games on the PS4 next year.
Number 1.
Oh, Shane, so we made it.
Yes, we did.
Number 1, you ready for this?
Yep, I know we're going to get lots of hate mail about this because these are our unique picks of what we are most excited for. You might not be, but give us some credence, folks. We will try and explain this.
Everyone's different. Should we get into the spiel? The shtick?
No.
Okay. So yeah, I have a feeling I'm going to say my number 1 game, and then from somewhere in the future, I will hear people going, no, just off into the distance.
Okay, let's hear it.
My number 1 game is a game that's going to be coming out on the Switch in 2019. I hope. Fingers crossed. We haven't had this title on a Nintendo platform since, I believe, 2013, and it was on the 3DS. We have had other releases, but they have not been the greatest. We had a couple... Well, we had a release on iOS, And then we had another thing on the 3DS. Is this confusing?
Oh, now I get it.
Okay, Animal Crossing. My number one game is Animal Crossing on the Switch. I know there's so many other games that could be chosen. I know.
Remember, folks, he
I know.
picked this over Metroid.
I picked this over so many other things, dude. But like, I was going over the lists in my mind, going over all the games and stuff. I can't wait for another proper Animal Crossing. I'm getting emotional over here. To be released on a Nintendo handheld / home console. It's gonna be, you play it on your TV again. You know how long it's been?
Yeah,
it's been such a long time. And we've never had a proper Animal Crossing in HD.
Yes, that's true.
This is the first one in HD.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm super psyched about this. Animal Crossing games. It's not one of those hardcore games for me. It's not a game I'm going to be playing every day for 10 hours, okay? Animal Crossing is a game that you play for an hour here, maybe 2 hours there. It's got these collect-a-thon mechanics that I find very addictive. I want to find every fossil. I want to catch every fish. I want to weigh them. I want to do, how much does that trout weigh? You know what I mean? I want to dig. I want to go swimming. Every single Animal Crossing game, the way that these games are made, every Animal Crossing game kind of like makes all of the other Animal Crossing games before like invalid. You know, because it takes all of the great mechanics from all those other games, and then they're like, oh, and here's some other stuff that you can do. I can't wait to see, like I said earlier, Nintendo keeps changing their franchises drastically with the Switch, and I have a feeling that this Animal Crossing is going to be offering a lot more than the differences in other iterations have so far. We had Animal Crossing Happy Home Designer that was released on the 3DS. It wasn't a proper sequel to the your typical Animal Crossing game.
No,
but
really.
It did have some implemented mechanics for how you lay out furniture and design things, and I hope that those things are taken and plopped into this release.
Okay, well,
I like Animal Crossing, and it's my number one. If you don't think it's cool, whatever. I don't want to hear it.
Now, look, folks, Metroid Prime 4, I want that to be my number one. I really do.
What?
But unfortunately...
It's not your number one?
No, it's not. Unfortunately...
On your list?
No, it's not. Do you know why? Because we don't know if the game's actually coming out next year. And what makes it worse, I want to be hyped for it, but I have no idea what the game looks like, what the story's going to be about, or if it's even going to be a first-person shooter. I mean, I assume it is, but the original creators are not working on it.
That's right. What do you think about that logo?
The logo looks pretty, right? The only reason I'm not putting it down here is because I firmly believe we're not going to be seeing that game this year. I think we're going to be seeing it. We're going to see announcements this year and gameplay reveals, but I think we're going to be seeing it probably in 2020. That's my assumption here. I could very well be wrong, but because of that, the number one game that I'm picking for 2019, the one I'm looking forward to more than anything else, The Outer Worlds. This game looks good, folks. Look, I'm a huge fan of Obsidian from the past. I love Fallout New Vegas. I think these creators are some of the best creators in the industry. I think that they get pushed around by a bunch of bigger developers. Now that they're bought by Microsoft, they've got money, they've got funds, they've got things that they can do. This is the last game they're making as sort of an independent studio before being purchased, so it's kind of this weird mixture, but I'm so excited for this game because it looks amazing. It's simple. It's not going to be a gigantic experience, which I'm totally okay with, but it looks like the experience you're going to get is going to be just packed with a lot of fun things to do. I'm excited for this. If you're a fan of Fallout, I think you are as well too, and this is one of the reasons why that's my top game. Plus, we know for a fact that it's coming out in 2019. That isn't like it's not going to be delayed or anything like that.
Yeah.
As far as we know, the game is essentially in its final stages, and we've already seen gameplay, like long-form gameplay, which tells me that this is very close to coming out.
They've been working on it for a couple of years. They've let media outlets know that. This is a developer listening to the cries of a certain audience loud and clear, right? This is like, oh, you really want a New Vegas style game? You've been saying that for a while. Okay, we'll make one.
Yeah.
That's all I gotta say.
That's really it.
I think it looks great.
Yeah. Well, folks, that's been our list. We talked about a lot of games today, but there is so much that's coming out in 2019 that it's really hard to kind of break it down to 5, but those are the ones we picked.
Right, I know. It was very difficult to make this list, and I hope that you agree with us, but it's fine, man. If you disagree with us, talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah, share us the top 5 games you're looking forward to in 2019. I'd love to see what you guys have to say. I know that there might have been a couple games that we missed, and if there was a couple of the games that we showed all the way at the beginning of the episode in that quick flyby that you're really upset about those being there, let us know. Tell us why you think those should be on the prime list that everyone got.
Get the time frame perfectly and put it somewhere on the internet for us to review.
Don't do that. Just let us know,
You're not
folks.
gonna be doing that?
Yeah. So we're excited for 2019. We hope you are as well. Let us know what you think and what games you're looking forward to next year.